In a small American town surrounded by dense forests, there lived a young woman named Maria. She worked as a delivery driver for a local diner. One cold winter night, as snow blanketed the town, a new order came in. Unfortunately, Maria was the only driver available. Reluctantly, she decided to take the delivery herself. Maria got into her delivery car and began her journey. The snow fell heavily, and the forest roads were dark and treacherous. The trees loomed on either side, their shadows stretching across the icy path. Maria gripped the steering wheel tightly, her breath visible in the freezing air. Suddenly, the car sputtered and came to a halt. Maria tried to restart the engine, but it was no use. She was stranded in the middle of nowhere. She reached for her phone, but there was no signal. The snow continued to fall, and the forest grew eerily silent. With no other option, Maria decided to walk back to the diner. The forest was dark and foreboding, the trees creaking in the wind. Every shadow seemed to move, and every sound made her heart race. She clutched her flashlight tightly, praying to make it out safely. Just as hope began to fade, Maria spotted a faint light in the distance. It was coming from an old, abandoned house deep in the forest. Desperate for shelter, she approached the house, her footsteps crunching in the snow. The door creaked open, revealing a dark and dusty interior. Maria stepped inside, her breath visible in the cold air. The house was in disarray, with broken furniture and layers of dust. Exhausted, she sat on an old couch and ate a slice of the pizza she was supposed to deliver. For a moment, she felt a strange sense of relief. But as she prepared to rest, Maria heard a faint noise coming from another room. It sounded like a whisper. Her heart pounded as she stood up, her flashlight trembling in her hand. She called out, but there was no response. The house seemed to grow colder. Suddenly, a tall, shadowy figure emerged from the darkness. His eyes glowed red, and his presence was overwhelming. Maria tried to run, but he grabbed her from behind. His voice was deep and menacing as he spoke. "You're not leaving. You'll stay here with me." Maria struggled, but the man was too strong. He tied her to a bed in one of the rooms, his eyes never leaving hers. She pleaded for her freedom, but he refused. "I've been alone for too long," he said. "You'll keep me company." Maria's fear turned to despair. Hours later, the man untied Maria to let her use the bathroom. Seizing the opportunity, she bolted for the door, but as she ran through the forest, the man appeared in front of her, again and again. No matter which way she turned, he was there. And then she saw him, 3 of him, blocking her path. Maria realized with horror that he wasn't human. Just as the figures closed in, Maria jolted awake. She was in her own bed, the morning sunlight streaming through her window. It had all been a dream. Or had it? On her TV, a horror movie was paused, its eerie soundtrack still playing. Maria sighed in relief, grateful to be safe. But as she glanced at her delivery uniform hanging on the chair, a shiver ran down her spine. Sometimes the line between reality and nightmares is thinner than we think. For Maria, the forest and the abandoned house would forever remain a haunting memory, a reminder of the night she almost didn't escape,